Welcome to another edition of the Rural Alliance UK podcast, episode 290, Screen Pass Suicide. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
It has been a rough Monday for us Lions fans, of course, going 1-1 after yesterday's debacle, which we are diagnosing for you today. Hope you're all well and that you didn't let it spoil your weekend. If you're in the live chat, come and say hi, get your questions in. You know we like to answer those as we go through, so please don't be shy. We'll do our preamble first and then we will get on with this. Please don't forget to join our Discord channel. It's a really great place with some lovely Lions fans. If you're not in there, frankly, you're missing out. I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face, but it's just friendly, happy, uplifting, and intelligent. I won't claim it's the most intelligent live chat on the internet, Lions chat on the internet, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. Links to the live chat right now. College Football Podcast and is coming up potentially tomorrow. What are you talking about? It was an eventful weekend of college football with a lot of the favourites falling short.
Yeah, we're just in our little review preview cycle at the moment, so we'll be doing that as always, and we've got a feature coming up on wide receivers as well, which we're doing tomorrow by request, as we always do. As I say, if you ever want anything like that, check them, find me, and Ryan will be going through some outside perimeter prospects because everyone's desperate for an ex-wide receiver in Detroit. So yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be doing the reviews, be doing the previews. A lot to unpack.
So much to go through as well. If you have a look at some of the results over this weekend, I mean, Kentucky may be the worst offense in the FBS nearly, but they almost beat Georgia, which is just insane. LSU just pulled it out against South Carolina. That was a really exciting matchup, despite everyone saying it was going to be awful. It was a hella exciting game that lasted about 4.25 hours, despite there being no weather delays or anything like that. Memphis pulling it out against FSU. I mean, I hate to pile on Ash in his absence, but why not? FSU are tanking it.
Yeah, they don't look good, and it was Backyard Brawl weekend as well, which is always one of the best games on the college football slate. There was a lot of good games I watched this weekend, so it's fun, and we've got one more week of the non-cons left, then we get into the full-on schedule stuff, so we're going to get to the good part soon as well.
Can't wait for that. Right, don't forget to like this show and sub to the podcast. You know what to do. It really does help us out, so please, if you haven't yet, please do that now. It makes a massive difference to us. And do go and support Lions Nation Unite as well. Herman has dropped a really good video breaking down some of the plays of the game, including the Terry and Arnold DPI. Worth a look. Go and support our guys, and appears on their show all the time, and so it helps us out as well if you do that too. We're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized. There's a tip jar down below, even as we are mourning going 1-1. If you do want to show some love because you're enjoying what you're listening to, that would be great. But just listening is great for us. We appreciate that very much too. Right, news and a couple of injuries to get to. First of all, Alex Anzalone had to leave the game under the concussion protocol. No word yet, but he's a big loss as a leader in that room, but he started so well last season, and he started this season really well as well. If he is out for any period of time, I mean, it's a deep room of linebackers, but Alex is a pretty talismanic figure in that room.
Well, they're all rookies. Outside of that, Pods is a rookie, Campbell's a rookie, Rodrigo's a rookie. You've got Jalen Reeves-Maybin you're down to in terms of senior leadership in there, so it's huge. He's the guy he's the heartbeat of it all. Maybe if he does miss a few games, hopefully he doesn't. But then, this is Campbell's opportunity to step up and be the guy we all know that he's going to be eventually. You know what Dan says, when an opportunity opens up, someone better be there to take it. So I hope he's all right. He should be. I didn't feel like we saw anything really bad there, but we'll see.
And the other bit of news is obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown seemed to be struggling with injury throughout the game. He got hit about halfway through the second quarter and seemed to come up a little bit limp, and he was just kind of struggling all over the field. He managed to get all the way through to the final drive, but then had to exit that drive about halfway through. Schefter has said he was initially determined to only have a contusion and cramping per source. That was 4 hours ago. So, I mean, almost 24 hours after the game. So he looked like he was struggling. Campbell kind of in the presser seemed to cast doubt on it being a long-term thing, and it seems to have been confirmed, although I guess we'll probably see him on the injury report this week.
Yeah, he's made out of titanium. You can't break things that are made out of titanium. So it kind of looked bad at first when he was off and he was crawling, but if it was cramps, then that's understandable. It kind of makes a lot more sense now. If you are cramping up, it does hurt and you are unable to really walk around that. So hopefully it's just minor for him because, another 100-yard game, 16 for him now, which is ridiculous in 3 years. Just, well, 2 games over 3 years. That's basically one every 3 games, which is really damn good for a receiver, especially drafted in the fourth. So yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be working his way through it, and you know him. He'll be practicing every day this week. He's obsessed, and obsessed people don't let a little cramp bother them.
All right, let's get into this game. Tampa Bay run out 20-16 winners. I'll just bring up the stats on the screen again as I did yesterday. Baker Mayfield led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in passing, 12 of 19 for 185, a touchdown and a pick. He also led the team on the ground as well, 5 for 34 and a touchdown, including a 12-yard rush to break Lions' hearts to take the lead. They were led on the ground by a running back by Bucky Irving with his 7 for 22. Rachaad White, the lead back, only had 18 yards on 10 carries at 1.8 yards per carry. They were really shut down on the ground. If you take out Baker's yards, they were 18 carries for 36 yards. That's 2 yards per carry across the entire team. In the receiving game, only 12 receptions and 7 of them went to Chris Godwin. He was 7 of 8 for 117 and a touchdown. I believe they were all in the first half, but maybe one was in the second. I'm not sure. Otherwise, not a lot to write home about. Mike Evans, 3 of 6 for 42. Jalen McMillan, 1 of 2 for 21. And Rachaad White, 1 of 1 for 5. That's your lot. That's all the people who caught passes. No tight end catches for K-Dotton. He was targeted twice. So that's the offense for Tampa. For the Lions, Jared Goff led the team, of course. 34 of 55 for 307 and 2 picks. Jack Fox had a higher passer rating, though, 1 of 1 for 17 on his fake punt pass. Rushing, Jahmyr Gibbs had 13 for 84 and David Montgomery 11 for 35 with a touchdown. On the receiving game, Amon-Ra, as mentioned, got another 100-yard game, 11 of 20 for 119 yards. They were really trying to feed him. That's why it was so low. They really covered him very well, but he still managed to do his job. Jameson was 5 of 11 for 79. Montgomery 4 of 4 for 35. On the defensive side of the ball, Baker Mayfield fumbled twice, but it was recovered both times by Tampa Bay, once by himself, once by Justin School, the right tackle. They were led in tackles by Jordan Whitehead and Savossier Dennis, 11 each. They had 4 tackles for a loss, 1 by Jordan Whitehead, 1 by Tyke Smith, 1 by Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and 1 by Yaya Diaby. They had 9 passes defended. 1 by Jordan Whitehead, 1 by Jamal Dean, 2 by Christian Izien, 1 by Vita Vea, and 4 by Zion McCollum, and a great day for him. Quarterback hits, there were 10, but no sacks. CJ Brewer had 1, Greg Gaines had 2, Chris Braswell had 1, and 3 each for Anthony Nelson and Yaya Diaby. They had 2 interceptions, 1 by Christian Izien and 1 by Zion McCollum. For the Lions, they were led in tackles by Brian Branch and Jack Campbell with 6 each. 5 sacks, 4.5 for Aiden and half a sack for Levi. That's robbery in terms of what it was for Aiden. It should have been 5. 7 tackles for a loss, 4 for Aiden, included in all of those sacks, of course. 2 for Jack Campbell, 1 for Aleem McNeil. They had 4 passes defended, 1 for Amik Robertson, 1 for Derek Barnes, and 2 for Brian Branch. And 5 quarterback hits were all Aiden Hutchinson's. They, of course, also had a pick. Brian Branch snagged that one out the air. Otherwise, the kicking was perfect for both teams. Chase McLaughlin with 2 of 2 and 2 of 2 field goals and extra points. And Jake Bates with 3 of 3 field goals and 1 of 1 in extra points. A good day, generally speaking, by both punters. Jack Fox only punted twice and both were down in the 20. Jake Kamada went 46 yards per punt with 2 of his 5 getting to the 20s, but he had a lot further to kick. And from a high level, if you have a look at all of those stats, the things that really kind of come out to me are the 2 interceptions for Jared Goff and the lack of touchdowns despite the huge number of yards that we had.
The 1 interception for Jared Goff, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's still, this is a very hard game to digest still. I get that, people lose in the NFL any given Sunday. Every single team, even Super Bowl winners, lose games during the season, and it's just a sort of way of life with the NFL here. But the ones that are really hard, I don't mind if we get beaten. Like, I can't think of many games over the last few years that we've lost where I think, damn, we should have won that game. Like, those kind of losses I can accept. It's the damn we should have won games that are really hard to swallow. It's kind of like the Cowboys last year when we got screwed on, reporting eligible and just personally for me, it's just they're very hard to digest. Like, there's so little room for error in an NFL season. Like with this year, we've got a bye in 2 weeks' time. We've got a long ass time this year to play football without a break, and even looking as far ahead to having the number 1 seed having a bit of a break, something like that. Like, this makes it so much more difficult now to be able to do that. And it was a game that we should have won, and it's just very frustrating, and it takes. The only thing that gets this feeling out of the system is following it up with a win. So I feel like I'm going to be like this all week, but it was so frustrating because the team looked so good for the most part. Like, the defense was really good for the most part. The offense, when it got its act together, worked well for the most part. This is a rare coaching loss for us, and not a Dan Campbell coaching loss. This is a coordinator loss that I feel, and yeah, it was just very frustrating. Like, the tone was set early in this game. There were some bad calls from the Zebras, which it just felt like, I don't want to blame them all for losses and stuff like that, but it sucks the atmosphere out of building when you get some of these calls, and some of the results of these calls. Just, it felt like it set the tone for the day, and we were never able to recover from it. We were never able to really get in front. We were never able to settle, and yeah, it's just, yeah, I just have this icky feeling. I think that's safe to say. It's just icky. We could have done so much more, and it felt like we never got going. And I've just got an itch that needs scratching that did not get scratched, and it's bugging me.
Many thanks to Mile Marker for the $10 super chat. Says, ouch, line emoji, 1 and 1. Appreciate you, Mile Marker. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a very similar feeling. I mean, there's 2 really big moments. Well, 2 really big moments. There's one really big moment in this game which dictated a lot of what else happened, because Dan Campbell taking ownership for the screw up with a field goal, I have to believe this is him being a head coach and taking all of the blame on himself, because I don't think that the head coach is necessarily the person who makes the call as to whether the field goal unit rushes onto the field. Hurricane, I think it's referred to, or they refer to it as. I think that should be the special team coordinator's job. I'm not saying that it's the special team coordinator's fault either, but there was clearly a miscommunication about what they were going to do. And frankly, I think there was about 10 seconds left when they needed to switch it over, which is just about enough time, but it's pretty close. It's much easier on 3rd down just to clock it and then take the field goal. And the fact that they had confusion there, they should have been aligned. And frankly, that should be Jared Goff in the huddle saying, if we don't get this on this one, I'm clocking it. And the communication should be there between him and Ben Johnson. Someone screwing up, and Dan Campbell's the sort of guy to take pressure off everyone else because it's the responsible head coachy move to do. He's a stand-up person. It's what he's put his career on here. But I can't believe that's his fault. And if we do get that field goal, we had 3 trips into the red zone in the final, 7 minutes? Any one of those being a field goal would have won it. Hell, if he hadn't thrown that pick with 7 minutes to go, and we just took a field goal there, we're plenty enough time to go and get another one. So the fact he threw a pick with 7 minutes to go was absolutely criminal. But we'll get onto that in a minute. But That not getting that field goal at the end of the first half ended up putting all the pressure on us to have to go and get a touchdown at the end of the second. And I don't believe it really changed the way that Tampa approached the game, that field goal, whether we got it or not. So I do think that maybe was a difference in it all.
I don't know. Field goals were not going to win this game. We'll get onto it really early, but I thought Dan lost his bottle in this one. Where we thrive, we are incredibly difficult to beat at home. No one really comes here and beats us apart from Seattle. Because because we are aggressive.
Only 2 weeks to go until that one.
Yeah, because we are aggressive, we are relentless, and we keep knocking at the door just when you think you've rode out the storm and you've made it to safer shores. We throw one last tidal wave at you and we overwhelm you. And I know we did we had the fake punt and that in there, but it just felt like when it came to certain situations in the red zone, we lost our nerve, we lost our bottle, we lost our identity of what we do and tried to be something we're not. And it boded back to older, scarier times in this franchise under different head coaches when the offense was predictable, when we played into the opposition's hands, and we basically didn't make them work to defend their lead. The fact that they can come in here and put up so few points and beat us marginally comfortably in the end says a lot about what went on in this. But you got to the NFC Championship game by being aggressive and being brave. Don't now that you've got Super Bowl aspirations, don't try and become one of those safe coaches who just does what the analytics tells you. Don't become an analytics coach, Dan.
But the thing is, what he was doing before did agree with the analytics. What he's doing now is getting scared, which doesn't agree with the analytics. It shows that when he had nothing to lose, he acted like it, and when he has something to lose,
he's scared to lose it.
There was an egregious punt that we made, which wasn't the fourth down where we took the initial field goal to start with. That one I kind of understood. Even though I don't really like it, I get the first one where we were 6-0 down, just get some points on the board, let's see what happens. But with 8 minutes to go, or 9 minutes to go, or whatever it was, we punted from there 41 on 4th down and 6. And we're at their 41. We're down 4 points. It would have been better to try Jake Bates for a 58-yard field goal than it would have been to punt in that situation, because what are you gaining? A net of 30 yards? Who cares? The time on the clock's worth more. And your defense has actually been good enough that if they get turned over at the 41, well, we'll deal with it. But throw the ball or kick the field goal. But don't do what you did. You chose the worst of the three options. And actually, I think that's what it came down to. Is quite often we were choosing the worst of three options.
Yeah, it was just a rough day all round. But Dan should not be stood there. Dan should not be sat there taking the blame for this. I agree with you. The whole balls up at the end of the only reason there's only one situation where you have to rush the field goal unit on to take one like that, and that's if it's a 4th down and the clock's running out and you can't spike it because you're going to turn it over. That's when you've got to do the whole rush your unit on. We were at what, 2nd down or something?
It was
3rd and 2.
It was 3rd.
It was 3rd down, but still, we were able to. We had the down left to spike it. You only practice those scramble drills when you're on 4th down and it's the end of a half.
Well, we made the mistakes in both halves. Instead of trying to go to the sideline to stop clock, we intentionally threw it in bounds, which then put pressure on ourselves at the end of both halves. The very final drive, we were catching the ball in bounds, which wound the clock. We had to burn the time out on the very first play of that final drive, and then we threw it in bounds again, so we had to clock it. Then he tried to throw to Jamo, who couldn't get his feet in bounds. But
see, it's weird. In previous years, when we've done all these good 2-minute drives, we've been getting it to the numbers so that the guys can get out. It's been going to the numbers. Guys get a few yards of yak and are able to get out. There, like you said, we were just aiming straight down the middle. We were playing so far into their hands in this game. All game, we were running through the tackles, predictable. Vita Vea ate it all up. running, throwing it short of the sticks, that really pissed me off because week one we did that against the Rams. Aggressive defenses like that, once they stop your run game from getting the 6, 7 yards, they put you in third and medium, third and fifth, third and sixth. Like Brent's saying in the chat, if you need 7 yards, go get 7 yards. Don't get 5 or 6. We kept doing crosses. We kept doing all sorts. We threw it 2 or 3 yards short of the sticks to a stationary receiver who then has to break tackles to get first down every time. And all they did was just sat there and rallied to the ball when they realized which guy it was going to. And it's just predictable and it plays into the hands. The few times we did aim it at the sticks or beyond the sticks, as we were discussing before we came on the show, we got first downs, we got completions, we moved the chains. When we started getting inventive with the play calling, we moved the chains, we got first downs. They looked uncomfortable with us, but for the most part of it, we were too stubborn. You're like, oh, we're the best team running we're the best running team in the NFL when it comes to our offensive line. But when it doesn't work, we stubbornly stick to the belief that we can still do it instead of changing the game plan. It just seems there's no wiggle room here. And we've got such a varied offense with so many weapons in it. It feels like at the minute we're driving a Lamborghini at 30 miles an hour. It still feels like preseason where he's not letting all his cats out the bag. He's not giving his special plays away because he doesn't want people to see him. You're in the regular season now, damn it. These games important, so start using them. This is just a frustration that bubbles up from things like this because it was way too predictable and Tampa dealt with it way too easy, and we made it easy for them.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it wasn't just that they were aggressive because they were hanging back in coverage, but they're a great read and react defense. They're explosive to the ball. And so when we were telegraphing what they were doing, they were then exploding to it. It wasn't like you could catch them unawares by throwing the screen out there because that's exactly what they were blowing up. So the normal things that you might associate with trying to beat an overly aggressive defense weren't working with this because they were coached to defend that too. So the way to beat that sort of thing is to go deep. And actually, the one time where we did go deep happened on our second drive, where Goff's second throw of the game went to JMO for 50 yards. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we tried that again.
No. And that's what I mean. Like, we had certain parts in this game. Like, there was also the drive, was it in the third or something like that, when we did the end around to JMO? That got a big chunk. Then there was a big chunk to Amon-Ra because we threw it past the sticks. So they got about 14 from it. And we just started moving it and we had them off feet and we were able to get them completely off balance. Then we reached the red zone and then we just reverted to type again. I mean, the egregious one where we got the big play and then we swung out a screen pass for a 4-yard loss or wherever it was to Gibbs. It's just, you're sucking the momentum out of the game. You talked about all the tackles for loss they had, etc. We gave them opportunities. You don't see a wolf standing on your porch and go, "Oh, do come in, sir. Let's, come make a play." We're not even going to try. It's essentially what we were doing. We were throwing rocks at a wolf and going, "Oh, come and get us." You don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, and I've seen it now too. Some people will argue that this is wrong, but I've now seen it 2 games in a row from him and Ben. And Ben's really got to get his act together because he is playing in to the opposition defensive coordinator's hands. And if he is as big a genius as we know he is, we do know he's a genius. Something's got to change. He's got to change because something's going wrong at this moment in time. I've never seen us so ineffective in the red zone in our life. I can chalk it up as a bad day at the office, but it needs to get better next week or we're going to be in a lot of bother. We talk about the overall picture. One loss is just one loss, but we talk about these first 4 games, rightly so, because when we come out the bye, we've got a rotten road schedule and we've got a lot of tough games and we can't afford to fall behind the 8 ball at this point. And because we've got this big run of games at home to start with, you've got to take advantage of them. We're going to put ourselves in a very tough position otherwise. And I know we play well with our backs to the wall, but for once, I'd like us to show a Super Bowl winner's attitude and, set the standard. It just feels like we're not setting the standard yet.
Yeah, I agree. Right, let's talk about the game. I'll go to the half and then we can talk about how that first half went. So the Lions won the toss and deferred, which meant Tampa Bay took the ball to begin with. went for a touchback and a great throw to Godwin for almost 20 over the middle. And then on a 2nd and 5 play action deep pass to Trey Palmer versus Terry Arnold was called defensive pass interference at the 5-yard line. It was actually quite well defended by Terry, and he got himself in the right position to make the play, but accidentally got his finger in the face mask. You can see Palmer's head turn because of that. It's a weak call, but I mean, the bloody head moves, so I can see why they've called it. Then I think there was a run play which got blown up, but there's still 1st down and goal, or 2nd down and goal from the 5. Then an RPO, which is pulled by Baker. It looks like it's a touchdown for all the world to Cade Otton, who is, I think, 6'5". And Brian Branch gets a hand up there for the PBU. It was absolutely incredible play to keep them from getting in the end zone. And then on 3rd down, a strip sack by Aiden Hutchinson for his first of the day. It was recovered by Tampa and their right tackle. It was maybe the only good thing he did on the day. It did keep 3 points on the board for the Buccaneers, as the 30-yard field goal was good. And the Detroit come out for their first drive, and the very first play is an interception by Zion McCollum. It's a timing route. It's about a 15 and in from JMO, and he just gets body checked on the route. I mean, there's no other way of saying this other than the Tampa Bay player screws up, sees that he's going to be beaten, decides to take JMO out, and then there's a player to pick the ball, and DPI is not called. Now, he doesn't make a huge move towards JMO, but you can see him go towards him briefly and brace for impacts. Like, it's not JMO just running into him and it's accidental contact. I really don't understand why it wasn't called, but it does mean that straight off the bat, they have the ball on our side of the field. And their second drive starts with a sack from Hutch, beating School from the wide 9. Levi also gets in on the action. They meet together, but it's credited to Hutch. And then on 3rd and 22, they're outside of field goal range. An incredible screen pass. I mean, I don't understand why we can't defend the screens, but they can. A screen pass on 3rd and 22. I can't remember who. I think it might have been Chris Godwin. It must be Chris Godwin who had it because he had all the catches at this point. So Chris Godwin with the screen. He got 4 offensive linemen out in front of him and he got himself 20 yards. And if Carlton Davis hadn't made a fantastic tackle, that could have gone to the house on 3rd and 22. As it was, with the 20 yards they got back, they were in field goal range. And that meant that the 55-yarder from Chase McLaughlin was good. There's an extra 3 points on the board, which didn't have to be given up. 6-0 Tampa. Detroit then come out for their second drive, and the very next pass for Goff goes deep to JMO for 50, beating Jamal Dean. But we never did it again. Next play, and Goff is roughed late by Yaya Diaby, gives us another 15. Screen pass incomplete to Gibbs, it was thrown into the dirt. I don't know whether that was the one that we were referring to or not, but I think it might have been.
Yeah, it was.
Monty then gets 7 on a power run. 3rd and goal from the 3. Incomplete to Jameson Williams. He runs a 3-yarder to the end zone line and then tries to run along the sideline to make the catch. Timing was off. It was into double coverage. I mean, but it's just a bad play. There's 2 other people running routes and there's no need to just throw that into double coverage straight away. Goff should have pulled it down. Didn't really give us a chance. But anyway, 22-yard field goal was good. We did take that in the end, 6-3. We could have potentially gone for it on 4th down there. In fact, I think you were calling for us to go run from that position at that time. Looked like that might have been a better option, but never mind. 6-3. Tampa take over for their 3rd drive. Baker scrambles out of pressure for 12. That's a running theme. Lol. Nice PBU by Mick Robertson. And then Hutchinson with another sack. Dipped under School. Just managed to turn the corner beautifully, forcing the punt. Detroit's 3rd drive. Get back to even here. Great throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown on 3rd and 1 over the middle. Another one for Amon-Ra St. Brown gets to the 28. Another one to Amon-Ra gets to the 22, but he now comes up limping. A really crap screen on 3rd down goes nowhere, and the 35-yard field goal is good. Can't help but feel like more points were left on the board there, unfortunately. Tampa on their 4th drive. 3rd and 10 scramble pass to Godwin for the first down. And then 2nd and 9, Baker happens to dance again and throw to Godwin for the first. And then the hammer blow. Mayfield fakes the screen pass. Amit Robertson bites on it, comes upfield. Godwin's left all on his own and walks in for a 44-yard touchdown. Terrion went with Mike Evans. Is it his missed assignment? Is it Meek coming up too quickly for the screen pass? Should it have been that Jack Campbell, as the linebacker in zone, should have gone to meet the wide receiver streaking down the field on the boundary? Probably a bit too far for him. It's hard to diagnose, I think, exactly who was at fault there, but there was no one within about 15 yards of Chris Godwin. That's a bust. And the PAT was good for 13-6. 3 more drives. Detroit's fourth. Started with a 2-yard loss in the run. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown had a PBU. 3rd and 12. Tim Patrick catches it, but he's out of bounds, so it doesn't count. On 4th and 12, a fake punt throw to Sione Vaki for 15 yards and a first down. It was absolutely beautiful. I actually got it wrong on the broadcast. It wasn't Eric Schlitt. It was Dave. It was Dave that said that was going to happen. He retweeted himself saying, I told you it was coming. You can see them bite on it hard on trying to block it, and Sione Vaki just releases upfield. Beautiful throw. Nice catch. I mean, he got hit hard, Vaki, so he, managed to cling onto it well to extend the drive. Next play, Goff play action throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, almost picked. It was 50-50 as to whether that should have been a pick or a catch. In the end, it was neither. 3rd down and 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown is thrown to, and Jamel Dean isn't looking back at the ball, does contact Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DPI is not called. It's very similar to the one that was called on Terrion in the end zone last week, apart from it was on the sideline, and forced a 4th and 2. 4th and 2, we go out in shotgun, and then outside handoff to Monty, who gets 3. He gets contacted a yard short and manages to force his way over with a bit of a second effort. Bit scary that, because it was about halfway line, so would have given up a lot of field position if we didn't get that. And then Goff with an absolutely terrible throw in the next set of downs, awful throw, and John Whitehead catches it. I mean, it's in his hands, but ends up dropping it. That should have been another pick for Goff, so that's 3 he could have had in this half. It ends with a punt on 4th and 6 on their side of the field. Tampa's 5th drive, about 2-minute drill at this point. Quick throw to Godwin to beat the nickelback blitz. I mean, it's a really nice play by Baker, one of the few that he made. Play action pass to Mike Evans. That was the first non-Godwin catch of the entire game for Tampa Bay. Mayfield escapes pressure but gets yanked down by Pascal by the neck. It looks a bit rough live, but he seemed fine. But the very next play, Baker throws over the middle towards Mike Evans, and Brian Branch just leaps out the air and grabs it with 2 hands. Fantastic snag. It means that they don't further extend their lead, and now we have a chance to go and tie things up. 1:52 left. 2nd down and 10. First complete pass to Tim Patrick for 3 years for Tim Patrick, so well done to him. 28 seconds left, and 3rd and 2, a designed run for Goff with no timeouts left to get out of bounds. That was actually a really nice and inventive play. And then we throw it over the middle with no timeouts left. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down with about 9 seconds to go. Lions try to clock it, but have half the field goal unit out on the field. 17 men on the field. 10-second runoff and the half is over. And yes, the defense were also on the field with too many men, but even with flags on both teams, a 10-second runoff would have still occurred. 13-6, and very, very... so much happened. It's hard to get into a summary of what the hell happened, but the Lions defense did really well in a hard circumstance to force 2 field goals. Then kind of screwed up for their touchdown. But the Lions, with their 2 field goal drives, left points on the board, and Goff could have had 3 picks in that first half.
Yeah, it felt like there were a lot of key moments in this first half, and like all throughout on nearly every drive, there's just key moments that didn't really go our way. I know the defense did well in this one. I do still have issues with them though, because I've been going back through this and I've noted, obviously, Godwin's first catch in this game, it was quite a big one. Got them some good chunk yardage when we managed to stop the run against them. Carlton Davis is sat 5 yards soft in coverage against Chris Godwin. And I noticed this all game. Every time Goff was throwing the ball, it felt like their guys were all over our receivers like a rash. In some cases, illegally so, as you've already mentioned, but they're playing very tight coverage. We are playing so soft against some of the best receivers you're going to come up against in the NFL. Why? Why is Carlton Davis sat 5 yards off Chris Godwin when he is wide open, when we've stopped the run and they're trying to convert on second, third, and longs? I hate it. We said this in the game preview. We need to stop it. Aaron Glenn has been given some good players for this secondary. He's got to start using them. This playing soft stuff is bull. The DPI call, yeah, I get it. Because Herm's done it all. Herm's a player. I get what he means, but me as a fan, I'm still going to say it was minimal. You look at the play between, for me, defensive pass interference. So interference is the big word here. Are you really interfering with the play for them? And you look at Terrion and him. Is he interfering on his ability to make a catch there? No. Ball's closer to Terrion anyhow. It's not the best throw in the world. But he is not interfering with his ability to make a play there. And for me, it is, for me, they've been way too strict with this. You've got to have some level in there where these guys can at least touch. Because they're saying he gets his hands up, he's handsy. I tell you what, he's not been handsy compared to college corners. Like, he's been so far off handsy, it's unreal. I hate it. But that's an early call that puts us in a rotten situation. In fairness, the defense stands up here. Like, Branch is good, Aiden's good. Love all that. And like in the red zone stuff, we've been a lot better this year. Did against the Rams as well. We were pretty good in the red zone against them. I do like it. The thing on JMO, the illegal contact is egregious, and I will give the refs no play for call here because how many illegal contact calls have you seen, Matt, where there is basically no contact at all? Basically, this is a foul where if you touch them beyond 5, illegal contact, right? And that is a body check. It's not just a touch, that is a body check. That stops JMO. That was a perfectly thrown pass from Goff. And what that does, because Goff, and I love him, he's my QB1. Goff is a confidence quarterback. He's always been a confidence quarterback. And when he starts throwing picks, he starts playing erratically because he loses a little bit of belief in himself and he starts to come under a bit of pressure. If that is called, there's no pick. Goff's confidence doesn't get knocked. We keep the ball, and this game potentially turns out a hell of a lot differently. This is why I have such a big issue with it. It should have been called, and it's a joke that it wasn't because that is just these little dominoes that fell in the game that made it hard for us to get back into this and help circumstances conspire against us. That's one of them. So it gives them the ball back straight away. It's fine. I love how the defense reacts to it. Aiden gets his other big, sack. But then I have a massive issue. We say that we held them to a field goal. No, we gave them a field goal. 3rd and 22. Aaron Glenn, why are you rushing 4? I am sorry, but you are at 3rd and 22 at midfield. You're rushing 4. Even the commentators saw this coming. So what do the Bucks do? They open the turnstiles. Easy. 4 of our men committed to the quarterback, gone. 5 offensive linemen, 2 wide receivers, bleeding out onto our DBs, our linebackers. How the hell are you meant to defend that? In 3rd and 22, and we give them, 20? That's a joke. You rush 2, you sit in coverage, they don't get a field goal, they punt it. These are small things, right? They're very small things. But that turns 6-0 into 3-0, gives us the ball back again. Putting us 6-0 down, couple of scoring drives, gives them confidence, saps ours, takes a little bit of energy out the stadium. It's a stupid call from Aaron Glenn, and he should be held accountable for it. His defense was good on the day, but there's just these little things that really annoyed me with him, and he should not have done that. Then you come back on again. Big bomb to JMO. Great. Love it. Really aggressive play. Then it was the Goff got hit late, and I don't like how the Bucks. Well, Goff got hit late 2 or 3 times in this one. They were actively trying to rough Goff up, and these were needless tackles on him. Probably didn't help his mood. But you get to the 10, you get 7 with Monty. You've got a 3rd and 4th down to come, and you throw a fade away to JMO in that condensed space. JMO is better in space. It's not the guy you go to when you are in such a condensed area. It's run the ball. This is where I sort of had an issue with Dan. Like, to me, aggressive Dan Campbell would have put the ball in Monty's hands, told him to run it twice, and we'd have rolled over them. We only needed 4 yards. Settling for three there just wasn't going to cut it. And you had the feeling early doors like, right, a lot of stuff's not going our way today. We need to get touchdowns. Let's not start getting around with field goals. Let's get touchdowns. Let's get some points on the board. We'll get there. And we didn't. And just, from then on, it was this cacophony of little errors and stuff that really kind of got to me with them. Yeah, you get there. I mean, it was a nice response to that Hutch again. Why they were putting Skule one-on-one with Hutch, I don't know. Like, this is a backup tackle. I mean, even when they did give him help, they weren't really there. But it just felt really bad from them. But then we struggle. We get into third down and we get into third downs. We're throwing, before the change. We start throwing screens. The second drive where we get to 6-6, that should have been another touchdown, but it's 6-all. It just felt like we weren't really giving ourselves opportunity to. And the thing with the Bucks is, and this is what really killed us, every time we got level, they hit back on the next drive right away. Like, you got it back to 6-all, you've not played your best ball, let's settle down, let's get this game in there, and then we get blown coverage. Godwin walks it in, and immediately all that effort to try and get back into the game is lost. And you're playing from behind again, and you're playing under pressure again. And that happened twice in this, And then that drive with I love the fake punt. Absolutely great. But again, we kept putting ourselves into rough situations on third downs. The Dean stuff is a joke as well. Like, you're pinging Terrian for literally brushing. Was it Jalen McMillan that he fouled on that one? He literally brushed it. There was nothing in there whatsoever. Jamal Dean is on Amon-Ra St. Brown's back. Arnold turned his head to look where the ball was. Far more legitimate play. Dean's just trying to get a piggyback off him. How is that not getting called? Again, that's a spot foul. That is a lot of yardage. That gives us the opportunity to be able to go and do something. But we don't. Instead, we have to convert it. Goff starts throwing weird passes again. And then, you've got to punt it. But that DPI, it makes all the difference. And it's egregious. It's not, it's 50, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It is blatant. That results in another punt for us. And then, we have to get the ball back. I like Branch's pick is amazing. He's a salmon. That was a salmon leap. And, it's Branch looks so good in this game. I'm glad he's adjusting to his new position quickly. It's really good play from him, able to get the ball back for us. Exactly what we needed, but we just couldn't, we couldn't take advantage of it. Again, we struggled. We had good field position from that, and usually we move the ball well in those situations. We end up with a stupid deflating penalty right before the half, and that was just like the theme of it. Stupid calls just kept deflating the crowd and not allowing us to get anything going. But there were so many things that annoyed the hell out of me in that first half.
Yeah, I don't even think that the JMO one for the first pick was illegal contact. 'Cause I think the ball is in the air. It's DPI, and that would have given us a little bit more yards. I agree on Amon-Ra and Jamal Dean. It's definitely DPI. Even if they don't give our ones and just give theirs, like what if they, as long as they give both, that'd be fine. Like, okay, I think theirs is worse than ours, but at least be consistent. But the fact that theirs was worse than ours and they didn't give it twice is hard to swallow. But even then, poor decision making. We could have still won the game even with the refs not giving our calls. It was absolutely here for us to take. Really, if we'd taken our opportunities, we'd have been ahead at the half. In spite of everything, which is really hard to swallow. But you're right. As soon as we got close to them, they were ruthless with coming back straight at us and forcing us to play from behind once again. The pressure was always on us, even when we looked better throughout the game. The pressure was on us and not them.
Yeah, and then, just, again, stupid things. You get an interception, you think finally it's going to come to ours, and then you just don't take advantage of it. And unfortunately, this is just a common trend for us. I look back, and there's not too many games that we just win outright dominantly with a cardiac catch for a reason, but it feels like we don't have the ruthless edge to us. And, again, just stupid plays and stupid calls. It's a mixture of ref calls. It's a mixture of coach calls. It's a mixture of just bad plays at really bad times. And again, when you can't get any momentum going, it's very difficult to win games. And yeah, we felt like we were getting ahead of steam loads of times, but then it never came to a head. It's just, ugh. But man, just certain decisions. Again, 3rd and 22, rushing 4. Why? Um, Screen back, not going for it from 4 yards out with 2 runs. Why? Why are you not make sensible decisions? I mean, it's easy just being a bald talking head on the internet saying you can do this, but it just feels like that's what we would do, and we're not doing it. And I don't know why we're not doing it. Monty was having success against them, and it just felt like we left a touchdown. A touchdown there, put a 7-6 up, settles the game. Completely settles the game.
Yeah.
And we just were never able to. It felt like if we'd have settled into a rhythm, they were done for. But they just kept us unsettled all game. And you know what? That is credit to them.
Yeah. Right, second half then, and Detroit start this one off, so they got a chance to tie the game up straight away. And a play action pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle, and roughing gets the Lions to the Tampa Bay 35 on the very first play. A JMO end around for 10, and then an empty formation wide receiver screen to Khalif Raymond, but for only 1. Ball took an age to get to Raymond, and they were alive to that anyway. Second down and 9, they run out of 0-1 personnel in shotgun to only get 3. So on 3rd and 6, a check down didn't get there, and a 32-yard field goal was good.
This is what I mean. Like, you have 2 big plays, like big throw to Amon-Ra, JMO on the end around, 2 big chunk plays to put them under pressure, screen, run, throw short of the sticks.
But we either did a screen out of empty or a run in shotgun out of 0-1 personnel. Like, these are things we're good at, and they do have their place. But to run them back to back in an area which didn't make sense, it wasn't the right. It's the right plays at the wrong time.
Yeah,
it's not that they're bad plays, because they've worked for us before, but they're at the wrong time. The timing was off for our coaching. So that stalled out our drive. 13-9 after the field goal. Tampa Bay take over, and on their 6th drive, they go 3 and out. Aleem wrecks the offensive line but can't make the tackle, but eventually someone does. On 3rd and 6, another sack by Hutch, who is finished by Barnes, and they have to punt. So Detroit now have the ball down 4. Another Goff play action pass over the middle. This one should have been picked by Zion McCollum, but Amon-Ra St. Brown ripped it out of McCollum's hands while McCollum was already on the dirt. This was Amon-Ra saving Goff from his potential 4th pick of the game. 3rd down and 10, check down to JMO, and he had 5 yards to go with a tackler in front of him, but he broke that tackle to get the first down and extend the drive. Gibbs then a power run to the right, and he dropped the shoulder beautifully for 19, and he could have broken it further. Then a screen to Tim Patrick. He had a really nice stiff arm, but it went out of bounds a bit early for only a 2-yard gain. So in 2nd and 8, an outside handoff to Gibbs for 3, making it 3rd and 5. And a 5-yard throw on 3rd and 5 to Sam Laporta for a first down. Who knew it was so easy? Poor run out of the weak eye. There was a safety blitz brought off the out of the strong eye, with a safety blitz out of the weak side, and completely unopposed Jordan Whitehead to the running back for a loss of 4. On 2nd down and 14, a check down to Gibbs for 6. On 3rd and 8, great throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown on 3rd and 8. Caught it about 12 yards in and managed to get another 5 for 17 all the way down to the 2-yard line. And on 1st down and goal from the 2, Monty dropped the shoulder for a touchdown, and PAT was good, and the Lions took their first lead of the game 16-13. Tampa's 7th drive started with a face mask on Bucky Irving by Terrion Arnold, and then a big throw to Jalen McMillan, who beat the cover 2 zone. He just found the hole and sat down. It was a really nice route, and it was a really nice throw by Baker. Then Baker scrambles and gets him the first. He danced around out there for ages. I don't know how he got that first down, but he did. And then the very next play, they called quarterback design to run, quarterback draw to run up the middle. And he danced around for 11 yards and the touchdown. Weak play by the Lions defense. 2nd touchdown, which really didn't need to happen. Both of them, despite the defense being great, were poor plays, those touchdown runs and passes. 20-16 Tampa as they take back over, and that was all your points. Plenty of drives and plenty of time to go, but 20-16 is how it finished. Detroit's 8th drive got to second down and 5, and with 1 second to go in the quarter, got Joe Tryon Shoyinka to jump. Instead, didn't have to run a play, but Joe Tryon, he did jump, and it gave the Lions a first down coming out of the quarter. So the fourth quarter begins on a play action check down to Monty, who got himself 16. But then we tried to run twice outside the tackles and both failed. We have a third down and long, 3rd and 7, and the throw to Khalif Raymond short of the sticks was incomplete anyway. We're at the 41-yard line at this point on 4th and 7, down in the fourth quarter, needing more than a field goal, and we punt. Just an egregious decision. Very, very cowardly punt late in the game. So Tampa take over, backed up quite a long way inside their own 10, I think, but a very quick throw to Mike Evans for 14 yards to get them out of trouble. Campbell then gets a TFL on Bucky Irving for -1. Great read of the run and the cutback on Bucky by Jack Campbell. On 3rd and 7, Mayfield scrambles into an Aiden Hutchinson sack with Levi to help. He did fumble it, but immediately got back on it. If they had held Baker up instead of allowing him to fall on the ball, how the game could have been different. The punt was returned to the 49 of Detroit by Khalif Raymond, putting them in great field position. And on our 9th drive, 3rd and 4 outside handoff to Gibbs. He almost broke it for the touchdown, but stepped out at the 23-yard line. Holding by Frank Ragnow really set us back to 2nd and 16. And then Goff, under pressure, throwing potentially at Tim Patrick, who was running a corner, when he maybe thought he was running a post. Christian Isian, the backup corner safety, was out there to pick it off. No one else even near the vicinity. Poor throw. Players not on the same page. Goff under pressure. If you eat the sack and take the field goal, that's probably okay. Bit rough. But Tampa take over at about their 30. Quick throw to Mike Evans for 10. Mayfield then under pressure flips it backwards to the tight end K-Dot on out of the sack, but it's still a TFL for 4 yards. And then on 3rd and 12, the throw to Jalen McMillan is incomplete. So they have to punt again, and it's fair court at the 18. So whereas they started at the 49 last time, now they've got to go 82 yards this time with 5 minutes to go, but it's still in our hands. So with 5 minutes to go, check down to Monty for 9. Great throw to Khalif for 18 yards. Handoff to Monty out of shotgun for 1. And then a handoff to Gibbs for no gain, putting us in 3rd and 9 in a pressure situation. An amazing throw. Under pressure, Goff had to get rid of it and throws to Amon-Ra on the crossing route. Just a little bit short of the sticks, but he gets there for 9 in the first down. 3 minutes to go. Play action throw off the back foot to Khalif for 8. But then an awful thought of a play where they pitch it to Jahmyr Gibbs, who just walks into a TFL of -4. The blocking was bad, totally blown up, choreographed. It was, I hate it. Makes it 3rd and 7, but a good throw to Sam Laporta. Gets only 6. He was stopped just short. On 4th and 1, the Lions line up with a split backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs at fullback. They then hand it off to Jahmyr Gibbs with the misdirection, and he almost breaks it for a touchdown again, just stepping out of bounds at the 14. His second opportunity to break it for a touchdown from deep. I mean, amazing that he even did it in the first place. Good defense by Tampa Bay, but it could have just been so different. Gibby might have been able to make that. As it is, it's 1st down and 10 at the 14. Quick throw in the flat to Gibbs, TFL for -3. 2nd down and 13, a quick throw to JMO out of bounds for 5, makes it 3rd and 9. On 3rd and 9, a running back screen for 1 makes it 4th and 8. And then a short throw complete to Gibbs, but the run after catch only gives him 6, and we're short by 2. There's only 52 seconds left now, but with 3 timeouts, the Lions are just about alive. And Bucky Irving, he runs for no gain. 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, a run for 3. And then on 3rd and 6, knowing a first down kills the game, they do go for a fake run, quick throw. And Barnes, to his credit, gets right up there for the PBU. And on another day, that might have been a pick with 5 yards to go, but it wasn't to be. So they do punt it, and it was returned to Tampa Bay 44. So with 33 seconds left, they've still got a timeout in their back pocket. They were dead, and now they're alive again. And here's where it goes even worse. 33 seconds to go, 1 timeout, needing to go 44 yards. Throw inbounds to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 9. Timeout taken. Throw inbounds to Gibbs for 9 yards. Clock it for 2nd down and 10 at the 26-yard line. Now with only about 16 seconds left. Throw to JMO. Couldn't get the second foot in. 10 seconds to go. Goff throw to JMO. Inbounds was dropped. and then 4th down and 10 throw incomplete, short of the sticks. Even if you caught it, if you're downed in bounds, the clock's expiring. You're not going laterals. You're not going Hail Mary. What the fuck is that? On the very final play, you have to at least go laterals or go Hail Mary, and we decided to do neither, and they didn't even complete the bloody pass. The design on that final drive for the 30 seconds was all wrong. And, I mean, we gave ourselves a chance from 26, almost no chance, but still a chance, and didn't even throw it in the end zone. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. I'll go into the game themes in a minute, but and that second half, I mean, there was no points scored in the fourth quarter, and a touchdown for each and a field goal for us to start. So we outscored them in the second half, I think, but it wasn't enough.
Like that final play of the game, for me, it just felt like it summed up the game in total. It was inexplicable. There was no reason to do it, and yet we did it. And we never had any chance of success. It just, like, at the start of the half, so hang on, let me get back there. So this was indicative. So, as I can say, big plays to start the half. You know, we mentioned it, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and then it's screen, run, check down, field goal. We did this so many times. We do well on defense. We get the ball back. Hutch, 5th sack of the day. You know, it's 4th, 5th. I can't remember. He had too many. But the defense does its job. It gets you the ball back, and then you get a little bit of luck, right? Amon-Ra prevents the interception. Then at 3rd and 10, they check it in down. The only reason we got that is because J-Mo's so good. But again, I'm pulling my hair out at this point going, we're at 3rd and 10. We're not even targeting the sticks. Just check down, screen, whatever. Thank you, J-Mo. And then we start doing it right. We run outside the tackles. Gibbs power run. Opens up the playbook. Gives you a chance to go out there and make some good plays. And then you get into a good position. And what do? Screen. Nothing. Handoff, nothing. 3rd and 5. You're throwing at the chains. You're lucky to get it, but then you just do the same again. You take a tackle for loss for 4 on your next play. You get 2nd and 4, 6 yards, 3rd and 8. You keep putting yourself in rough positions. We were able to overcome it. You get the touchdown. You think, right, after all this that's happened, we're in front. We're in the lead. Now let's go and win this thing. But this is the killer. And this was the big killer. They hit right back. And this is fair play to Tampa. Like, they didn't let us get on top. They kept getting back in front. Obviously, the face mask doesn't help. But that throw to McMillan, I nearly punched my screen. Like, we said about him in previews, Jalen McMillan was a fantastic wide receiver 3 at Washington, who was not as well utilized because he had Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze there. What's he got here? Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That doesn't mean you disrespect him by leaving him all alone in zone in coverage, because he's a good receiver. And once again, why are we not making it tough for these guys? Why are we showing them respect? Why are we giving him space to make that play? It should not happen. And I'm getting sick and tired of it. This zone stuff is not working. And whilst the defense did really good in this, it was more down on the defensive line, I'm going to say, than the secondary on this. And that is a big play, gives them momentum again, opens them up for Baker to get his little scramble. They can do what they like, design runs, straight back in front, costs us the game, really. And I'm just so sick and tired at this point of seeing open receivers on the other side while my guys are closeted more than a turtleneck. I don't know at this point. I just don't get it. And then it just sort of turns into this game where the defense do keep making stop after stop. Usually the defensive line making the big plays, which allow us to get somewhere. But our 8th drive, again, 2 runs, stuffed. Raymond, incomplete, punting. I agree with you. It was egregious. Well, I wouldn't say egregious. I thought it was offensive, not egregious. because I do believe that the defense could get us the ball back, and it's a one-score game, and I do have full belief in on our offense to, like it did against the Rams, find that drive out of nowhere. I get where it comes from. It's really good from the defense to get it back. Kind of justifies the decision to do that, but then we throw it away again, and because we're putting ourselves in tough positions, like the holding call is no good. Frank had a rotten day, like Vita Vea, and Vita Vea's not even in the game at this point, but Frank had his worst game as a Lion in probably the last half decade. Puts you in a rough situation, 2nd and 16. You don't want to be throwing it too far downfield. He does. I don't know what he sees. I don't know what he sees. It is a really bad pick. The first one shouldn't have been a pick. This one should have been all day. Like you said, he probably could have had 3 on the day. Eventually, he got found out, and again, just kind of sucks the momentum out of the building. But even then, you still get the ball back. But that 10th drive really killed it. Just so many times. Pitch to Gibbs, -4 yards, puts you behind the sticks. You've got screen throws, tackle for loss, -3, screen throw, -1. Just lots of negative plays that keep putting you in situations where you've got to be unnecessarily dangerous, and that just feels right in to Tampa's wheelhouse. And I just got really frustrated at this point. Defense gave us one last stop, but it never really felt like we were going to get there. And like you said, that last play of the game just summed it up. It was erratic. It was no hope. You never felt like it was going to work. And I've not had that feeling about this team in some time. It was ugly. It was disorganized. It was every word to, describe badness that you can think about.
I
And
mean, the throw that they made, you'd think that they were trying to throw from like midfield and the quarterback
yeah.
literally didn't have the arm to get it to the end zone, but you were throwing from their 26. It's a 35-yard throw if you step back in shotgun 2-3 steps. Like,
And at
Goff
the end of the
definitely
day,
has that arm. And
you've got J-Mo. That should have been ideal for J-Mo to
Or-
get his legs going. Or
Sam Laporte and Tim Patrick, if you're going to make it a jump ball, get it to someone tall. I know that they're going to stack the end zone, but give
Yeah.
yourself a 5% shot. What you did is you gave yourself a 0% shot.
Well, you could have tried something like the Bucks did against us on that third 22 and just sold out, sent your offensive line there and tried to do a big, elaborate screen. 26 yards is not manageable. You could have come up with something a little more creative than throwing it into the dirt about 10 yards in front of you.
Yeah.
That summed up the game for me. That was a fitting end to the game. It was a load of horseradish, as we say over here. Or I do anyhow. I just lost it. The play, it's like Tampa knew what we were going to do, and I can understand us doing that back in the days when we had Matt Patricia's offense and we didn't have a single good skill player on this team. And you've got to go to prehistoric things like that. But we don't. We have a team full of playmakers and we have a good quarterback. And it just felt like we didn't trust them to do anything with it. And we were just the amount of times you start the first down, tackle for loss, negative play, that just instantly puts you on the back foot, especially against a team like Tampa. And I was incredibly disappointed in Ben. Like he's done so much. I mean, my faith in Ben is still 100% right, but this was a game that was there to be won, and Tampa were good, right? But they were not great. They didn't come here. They didn't beat us. We beat us. And those are the kind of losses that I can't accept. I can accept losses on a Sunday because it's the NFL, it's any given Sunday. I can't accept losses where we are the architects of our own downfall. And yes, we got screwed in the first half by the rest, but we had really no such excuses in the second. It was us, been negative, been predictable, and just going away from what we do well. Like Vita Vea comes out the game. Why are we not putting Monty on the field every play and going, you know what, screw it. You're going to eat him every single play. I want to see you stop this. We didn't. And there were no two set running back looks. We stopped using the fullback. It's like, why did we go so basic with the run plays when they lost the guy who was keeping us in check? Vita Vea was a monster. He made Frank Ragnow his child in this game, and nobody does that. Nobody. So you lose him. You've got a little caramel center that you can go in there and just absolutely demolish. Now we carried on biting at the rough, hard chocolate around the edge. It's just, I don't get it. These guys are smarter than that. This is why I don't get it.
Yeah, so you've adequately covered the offensive play calling. I think it wasn't good enough. It's weird because if you've never believed in Ben Johnson, and there are plenty of them, we have quite a few of them in the chat that have been at least lukewarm at best when it comes to Ben Johnson, who have seen him with the inventiveness, but also with that sort of play calling style, which sometimes doesn't lead to good positions. And if you were of that frame of mind, this is sort of confirming what you've known all along. If you are a Ben Johnson believer, this game is putting the seed of doubt in your heads, and I'm with you, Ant. I'm still at 100% faith because I've seen what he's done, and I've seen the offensive coordinators that we've had since I've supported the team. He is the most inventive. He puts together a playbook which synergizes well with the talent that you have, and I think that he's exploited that well compared to what we've had in the past. Could we do better? Well, the problem that you have is that every good offensive coordinator gets poached one of them season to be a head coach, and they're probably a bad head coach, and then can you get them back as an offensive coordinator? And then maybe they don't have head coaching aspirations. But that's the problem with offensive coordinators. They disappear quickly if they're good, and the remainder are all bad. Have a look around the NFL. There are very few offensive coordinators which actually fall into the good bucket for me. There might be less than a handful. It might be less than five. So I think Ben is one of those good five. The problem is the grass just isn't always greener. I think the alternative would be Dan rather than anyone else.
The thing for Ben with me is he's incredibly intellectual, but he's not a chess player. So Ben believes in himself and his intellect, which is great, but he is like Aaron Glenn. I don't think he can adapt to changing situations in a game. The third quarter curse is there for a reason because I think sometimes, and because of the amount of screens he was throwing, because of the amount of predictability, he thought that he would win just by doing what he does best. Sounds silly. I've probably worded that wrong, but if you know what I mean, sometimes you can't win the same way every time. The best offensive coordinators adapt on the fly and have, the situational. That's why I say chess player. Like every good chess player the great ones are great because they adapt to situations, people they're playing against different styles, and they're the ones that become truly elite. You get really smart guys who have a really good system, but when they can't adapt to situations, it exposes flaws. And I don't know, are we seeing this now? Because I mean, we were good in the third quarter this time, but you know, those last two drives just really shook me as in, okay, Ben, you're getting chance after chance after chance. Let's do something different. We've seen what's worked in this game against them, and yet you're going back to the stuff that wasn't working beforehand. That is the sign of a guy who ultimately fully believes in himself and what he does, which is great. But sometimes someone's just a little bit smarter than you, and the way you outdo them is you start thinking a little bit and you start showing it up a different bit, and you take the opposition out of the wheelhouse. And we just didn't feel like we did it. And
yeah, there's a little bit of the smartest guy in the room about it.
Yeah, and we've had this problem with Aaron Glenn for years, right? Like I've got to be fair in my critique here. So many times over the years, I've said Aaron Glenn's inability to match when an offense changes, his inability to get away from what he likes to do, like this cover two crap. I'm sorry, I'm done watching our top two corners, Terrian and Carlton Davis gave up, what was it, 7 receptions on 8 targets for 130 yards in this game.
Against Chris Godwin specifically.
Yeah. 7 of 8 for 130 yards. Now I get new secondary, teething problems, miscommunication issues, stuff like that. But when I go back to the start of the game, when I see Chris Godwin in 5 yards of clear space when we've got them backed up near their own end zone and we've stopped them running the ball, and we are giving him a 5 yard cushion, I get it. It was a great catch away from his body. I'm not taking anything away from him. But why is he not draped over the back of him like a dressing gown, making it hard for him to make that play? We just gave them plays. The Jalen McMillan one was the backbreaker. I don't care that he's a third receiver. He's a damn good receiver. You've got to put respect on his name, and you have got to make him make that play. Don't just let him sit in soft zone and
Well,
pick you apart.
I think the problem with the zone coverage is that they're not covering the man within their zone. They're defending empty space in their zone. Zone coverage works if you can play zone coverage. Unfortunately,
But we can't.
We can't play zone coverage. And I think the problem that I have with them playing off is that they were catching it short and they were catching it long, and we were defending the middle. But the thing is, I don't want to overblow the point, because at the end of the day, this defense, and I have it in my notes in game teams as defensive improvement. Up front, we were totally dominant. I thought we were fantastic. Baker Mayfield, in order to get anything going, had to scramble for everything that he had, apart from maybe the Godwin touchdown. And other than that, I thought Robertson had a good PBU. Did he bite on the screen, which calls the touchdown? I don't know if that's his fault or whether that's Terrian's. But other than that, I thought it was a good defensive performance. I mean, we said it last week, when you hold a team to 20, you're doing well. You should win games in this league, holding teams to 20, and we did it again. So I agree with you about coverage generally, but I do think it was a good day for our defense on the whole.
Yeah, but think, why did the drives that we stop end? It was the defensive line making plays, not the secondary. I know Branch had his breakup in the box and that, but I'm still... The plays that cost us were where we were sitting and giving them space to make... You can't... Baker's a good quarterback. You can't give Baker free throws on the level that we did.
Mini
And most of the...
Mini Stafford looked like Mini Stafford. Just saying.
Pretty much all our drive stoppers came from the defensive line, usually from Hutch. Right. We can say that it was a good game and that from the entire defense. It was better, but like I said, your two main corners there have gone 7 of 8 for 130 yards on receptions. Why? Because they've been asked to sit. And we're not been aggressive to the man. We're giving them too many easy throws. Yes, Terrian's been pinged again for penalty. I don't really care about that. It's trial by fire. I said this from the start of the season, before a snap was even taken. He's going to have a rough start. Most rookie corners do. And this is just a learning process from him, and he's going to be fine. But we've got to give him the opportunity to get in there.
But then what you saw from him in terms of technique and difference in the DPI last week to the DPI this week, he played it a heck of a lot better. Got his head around, got his hands up, competed at the catch point. I mean, if he just literally put his finger down instead of having it out, he wouldn't have been in the face mask, and then it would have been a DPI. It would have been a PBU in the end zone instead of... it could have been a pick.
It's a football player's competitive to want to win the ball. And unfortunately, that's not just something you can eradicate from them, their ability. Because at the end of the day, the receivers were doing the same. And again, you look at the amount of contact he makes with Jalen McMillan, it's minimal. And I'm sorry, but there has to be some form of give on this. And the thing that really annoys me the most, there has to be a continuity to this. Jamal Dean committed a far, far, far worse case of DPI on this, on a critical down for us, nothing given. I'm sorry, but if you're going to give that on Terrian, the tiny little swipe, the teeny tiny little swipe, then when he's hanging off him like a cardigan, I expect that to be called. So there was no rhyme or reason to the way the refs went about it. I mean, they were bad. I mean, even we got away. We were saying in the second half, we got away with some egregious calls. And, we will fully admit when the refs give us favourable calls, and they probably should have pinged us a few more times than they did. But the ones that got us really hurt us, and the ones when we needed the calls, we didn't get them. But again, the second, I don't know. It might just be me being me, but I hate it. I hate knowing as soon as I see a quarterback throw a ball, it's not on screen, I know there's going to be a guy stood there in 5 yards waiting for him. And I'm just tired of seeing this after the last 4 years now.
Yeah. All right, let's move to stock up, stock down, because I think we're flogging a dead horse at this point. Who do you think did well yesterday? Who deserves a shout out?
I mean, we can't use the obvious ones here, I guess, can we? But
Well,
I
let's
thought,
let's use
I
them up. We'll
thought,
do one each. We can use them up, and then we'll have to shout out
oh well,
some
no,
lesser
no,
known.
no, we,
No?
we've got the obvious one. I thought Brian Branch was a hell of a lot better today. Really good bounce back from him. Pass breakup early was really good awareness. Because we've been done by those little shovelly type plays in the red zone so many times. You could see him. It pinged instantly in him. The guy's instincts kicked in, and he played a little more at slot this week. So I kind of hope that continues as well, because that's where he's best. But like the pick was great, the PBU was great, the run defense was good again. I felt like every time we needed a stop, and if it was a secondary guy, it was him who got it us. So like that's the Brian Branch we know and love, and he's going to be a great player. Last week was just an off week in a new position, and I think we all knew that.
Mm. Oh, I'm stuck between two. Let's go for. I'll go for my guy, which probably frees you up to go for your guy. I'm gonna go for Levi Onwuzurike. His
Your guy's the long snapper. Let's not get this down. Like your guy, you are LSU. Your second guy, maybe.
yeah.
Hey, it was good. Perfect
Le-
on footballs.
I thought Levi was fantastic. He did miss a tackle, I think, but barring that, I mean, he caused pressure. He showed plenty of reps in there. I think he got the start at the end opposite
He
Aiden
did.
Hutchinson.
He did.
But regardless of that, he had about 50% of. No, he had three-quarters of the snaps. And I thought he looked like a bit of a menace in there alongside DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. I thought the defensive line did a heck of a job. I think Levi was there for two of the sacks that Aiden made, and he got half a sack himself. So
He's up at 8 pressures and 2 sacks, technically 2 this year already. I call halves full because if it's a half, it's a full one. So
yeah,
but he's
yeah.
at 8 pressures and 2 sacks through 2 games.
That's great from the interior, mostly the interior that he's coming from. Why don't you have another guy, one positive one, because we've been fairly negative on this show.
Oh yeah, I try not to be. Hang on. So I've done defense. Let me move over to offense. If there was anyone on here that I thought did well. I mean, or should I just go defense again? No, you know what? Screw it. I think JMO again. JMO consistency now. I think he is. We got the deep ball to him. Got good yards again. I thought JMO had a good game in circumstances, and we didn't put the ball in his hands enough. So I thought JMO did well again, and over 200 yards on the year now. So he's arrived.
I'm going to go for one, and then I'm going to give an honourable mention up as well, and then I'm going to go for the downs. So the guy I want to shout out is again on defense, and it's going to be Derek Barnes. I thought that. I don't think he was fantastic in coverage, but in run defense especially, he was putting the hammer down, he was finishing, he was getting pressure. I thought that he was a kind of good all-round player at that linebacker position, proving to be a really good utility player. I mean, he only had 3 snaps where he wasn't on the field in the entire game, Derek Barnes, so fair play to him for that. And then the honourable mention, Sione Vaki, 5 snaps on offense, including his first reception as a Lion on the fake punt. Well done him for hanging on to that ball. You deserve something. Do you want to give an honourable mention?
I think, I would give an up to Campbell in this. I thought we started to see the good of Campbell, especially in the run game. We started to see the good of Jack Campbell in this, and maybe if Alex is out a little bit of time, then maybe this might be the push he needs to really start coming forward. But I do like the way Jack's going, and I think he's slowly starting to get there. It's a long road for a linebacker. He looks like he's starting to get good now. We just need to see the coverage bits from him. But I like what he did, and I give a shout out to Bates again. Bates has been clutch
Very solid
since he's been here, and
yeah.
He keeps hitting what that. Again, got to give the long snap. He's doing well. It don't look like there's many problems on the field goals at the minute. Doing well, so yeah.
And you can't run a fake punt without a good long snap.
No, exactly. Well, I guess we have to put Fox in there as well, don't we? Fox had the best touch pass of the day from anybody.
Yeah,
So,
he really did.
special teams. Let's give special teams their due.
I mean,
I
apart
don't.
from running onto the field at the end of the first half.
Well, that's a coach thing.
Yeah.
So I think overall special teams gets a bit of an up for
We
this
had some
one.
really good returns by Raymond to put us in good field position at the end of the game. So,
Mm.
yeah, special teams all around had a good day, I thought. Just a little bit of breaking news from Dan Campbell on the presser saying Alex Anzalone felt better today, but they're going to see how that goes. And there's nothing serious with Terry and Arnold, despite him being in a club for half the game, unfortunately. But so they should both hopefully be fine by the sounds of it. Although with Anzalone, obviously with a head injury, you don't want to take anything for granted with that. Right, anyone you want to shout out as having stock down yesterday?
Um, the interior of the offensive line. Frank was bad. Glasgow was awful. Those guys should know better.
They didn't look any
They
better when Vita Vea left the field.
No, no, they were not getting beaten by just Vita Vea, but they were unable to take Vea out the game in the run aspect of it. Hence why we had to go outside the tackles, and we had a lot of pressure come up the interior. I thought the tackles did very well. I thought Panay and Decker didn't give a lot away in this. I thought the interior, for as good as that should be with three bona fide veterans in there, was really poor. But like, I am not going to say a single bad word about Frank. Like I said, that's probably the worst he's played in half a decade. Every single offensive lineman in the league has one of them days, and it just was not his day. Um, so that's kind of more just that's a one-off down. The biggest down I'm going to give is to the edge room not named Aiden Hutchinson, and that includes the injury croc that can't be bothered to play already, Marcus Davenport. I'm done. I'm fed up with this. But in absentum, the fact that Levi has been moved onto the edge before either Josh Pascal or James Houston can see a snap there is now to the point where I wanted to give them a chance, but I'm already getting worried because if these guys can't get in front of Levi, who has been injured for the last 3 years, and now he's already playing interior and edge before either of them, when he's had 2 games back and he's looking damn good, I'm already looking towards the trade market for a new edge. I'm done. My fuse is quiet on this.
Guess who had more snaps than Josh Pascal? Me-
I'm pretty sure Malcolm did. Oh, sorry, we're talking D-line.
yeah, Mekhi Wingo.
Yeah,
Or
like
Mackay Wingo.
I said I was gonna wait till the trade deadline to give these edges a chance. But the fact that they can't get in the team above some of these guys right now is concerning. I'm already ready to pull the plug. I'm looking to the trade market for another edge rusher already.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm willing the Bengals to lose every single week. And it was great that they did on a walk-off. So like the edges, you've disappointed me. I was not happy with. Anyone else uh I don't think so outside of that. I mean, I guess we didn't give an up to Amon-Ra, who had a 100-yard game. Is it just that's just base level for him now, right? 100 yards is nothing special for
Yeah, he's
Amon-Ra
just meeting
anymore.
the
60,
expectation.
16, what is it? 16 100-yard games he's got now, which is just insane. He's been in the league 3 years and he's got a full season's worth of 100-yard games. Crazy. Anyone else I give a shout out to? Who else did? No, I think we've about covered it there. I guess we're giving downs to the coaches, right? Got to give
Oh,
downs to the
sure,
coaches. Like
sure,
that
yeah.
goes without saying that I think. So, but
Okay, so I have a couple to give out in terms of downs. The first one is obviously going to be to Jared Goff, and I think it kind of goes without saying, but he was handed some poor plays, granted, but he should have been picked 4 times on the day. He got bailed out by Amon-Ra, and they dropped 2. Which actually, so that's 5, sorry, because there were actually 2. No, it's 4, because the first one shouldn't have been there. So he should have been picked 4 times. He was picked twice. He put the ball in harm's way. He was rushed. He tried to force things. He didn't look confident. That ain't on coaching either. That's on him. He's a confidence quarterback, and the confidence is lacking right now. That's what worries me going into next week, is that Jared doesn't look like himself right now. So can we work it into him? And one of the reasons why Jared Goff doesn't look good is because Sam Laporta looks bad. I mean, he's not getting free, he's not blocking well. I think he's suffering with the injury that he had late in the season last year, where he's had to rehab through the off-season. I know he continued to play during the playoff stretch, but that was with some heavy painkillers as far as I'm aware, and he was barely walking at the end. Rehab through the off-season, he's not come back looking like himself, and when you don't have that safety valve that we were used to having last year, never mind safety valve, legitimate weapon in the offense, when Sam Laporta isn't firing like that, and when you don't have that third receiver, suddenly that's putting all the pressure on Amon-Ra and Jamo, which is why they're trying to force feed Amon-Ra, and they're trying to save Jamo for that explosive play, which means they have to revert to what you said and feed Jamo a little bit more, because we kind of have to, because Sam needs to sort himself out a little bit. Now he's a second
He's going through a sophomore slump. This is nothing more than a sophomore slump. He's had a year that no one would have expected last year. He's had one of the greatest seasons by a rookie tight end of all time. He's spent all off season been lauded, going to tight ends university, doing all this sort of stuff, and then the realization that hits you when you've got to do it all again. Like, that's why you see so many sophomore slumps. Like, he is, at the end of the day, just a year two tight end. He's, again, we talk about all these, it's tight end's a very tough position. You've got to block well, you've got to receive well, but the thing is, he's got expectation on him now. Anything, I think he was always on a hide into nothing, having a better second year than his first. He can't top his first year. So that means it's not going to be as good, and that probably gets into your head a little bit. Yeah. So I'm not worried about Sam in the slightest. It's sophomore slump stuff, and he will find his way back there again. And for Goff, I blame Michigan, like I said to Brent earlier. Goff was watching Davis Warren throw an umpteen amount of picks to Arkansas State, and he followed suit. He just set the tone for bad quarterback play in Michigan this week. So. Stop playing him, and then Goff will get better.
All right. Anything else you want to say on this game before we talk about the rest of the slate?
I
think I'm done personally. So
it was nice to have a 6 o'clock game. We've not got another one till October the 20th now, so yeah, at least we got finished early. So we've got a 9:25 next week. Then we've got, what is it, Monday Night Football against the Seahawks? Is it Monday night?
Yeah,
or is
Monday.
it Sunday night? Monday night, and then we've got another 9:25 after that, and then we've got the
after the bye.
So...
No, the bye's after week 4, isn't it? Bye's week 5.
Yeah, so we've got over a month now till our next 6 o'clock game. So.
Oh my God, my workplace are going to hate me. Oh well. Rest of the slate, let's just go through briefly one by one. We talked about Thursday Night Football already. Packers beat the Colts 16-10. Yes, you called it, but Malik Willis having looked awful. Yeah. Malik Willis looked awful at Tennessee, and he gets himself a win against the Colts. I'm shocked.
I'm not. I told you, the Colts really bad defending against the run. And, when you've got a rushing quarterback of Malik's caliber and you're going to be able to use him on the ground, it's going to cause issues for the Colts. Now, what did Josh Jacobs get? Like 160 yards, was it, on the day? The Packers rushed for 270. When you rush for 270 yards, what you're going to get? You're going to get a lot of time of possession. They got over, 40 minutes time of possession. That one felt quite simple. They're going to run the ball with a dual threat quarterback. They're going to dominate the clock, and they're going to win. Now, having said that, winning by 6 when you have 21 minutes more possession than your opposition team is a piss poor effort. But when you have that much more play, you can afford to be bad and lose. I don't necessarily think the Packers with Willis are better than the Colts, but given the scheme matchup and how they just can't defend the run to save their lives, it was always going to be the case. So I feel vindicated on that, but I hate celebrating a Packers win.
Yeah, fair. Maybe the shock of the weekend, Raiders away from home beat the Ravens 26-23.
I mean, there were shocks everywhere, weren't they? But, for the Ravens, they're under pressure because everyone, Derrick Henry's there. They're in their window now. They're like the Bills were, 2 years ago.
Even last year, to be honest.
Yeah, they're in the Bills spot now. there seems to be a curse. Like every team that gets up into the AFC spot to challenge the Chiefs, like first you had the Bengals, and then the Bengals have just absolutely nosedived. Then you had the Bills. Bills weren't able to live up to it. Now you've got the Ravens in there, who are probably the de facto challengers to them in the AFC currently. And it seems like they're struggling. Like the only problem with having a guy like Derrick Henry in is he likes to, but he does make you a little bit more one-dimensional. The Ravens like to run outside the tackles. They like to run complex run schemes and stuff like that. And kind of feels like Derrick Henry's taken away from that a little bit. Lamar doesn't look his best just yet, but it's I'm so happy for the Raiders. I like Antonio Pierce. He's a very likable coach. And did you see him with Telesco afterwards? It kind of felt a bit reminiscent of Campbell and Holmes. Like, you kind of got that a bit of a vibe off him. But I think Antonio Pierce is a great coach. I said before the season, I thought they'd be bad this year, not because of him. Like, I want them to get a good pick so they can get him a good quarterback there so they can give him a fighting chance. But wins like this show, just maybe they can do it with Gardner this year and pick up somebody. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm very happy for them. I thought there's no one I want to win more than him outside of us. He's very likable coach.
Very likable. The reason that I picked against them wasn't just that I thought the Ravens were a much better team. It's that what happened.
Well, I picked against them like everybody.
Of course, but I think the main reason, other than the quality of the teams, is if you have a look at what the Raiders did against the Chargers in the previous week, the situational coaching was terrible. I mean, they punted down by 6 or 7 with 3 minutes to go in the game in plus territory. It was like, I think it was maybe the most cowardly punt on the cowardly punt index ever, or very, very close. And like, when you have situations like that where the coach just really goes into his shell, I kind of doubt that whatever good you do in the week in terms of coaching that team and making them believe in themselves kind of disappears when it doesn't show that you believe in them on the field. So like, I didn't think they could pull it out, but they were down 10 points with 10 minutes to go and still pulled it out. Like, it was a terrific comeback. So fully deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. I can see it in the chat. So I will sit here now and take my pie to the face. I will let you talk about them cowgirls.
Well, okay, you want to talk about them now? Okay, so
I don't, but I'm gonna sit here like a good boy and take my punishment for disrespecting the Saints so much.
I mean, I didn't exactly pick the Saints in my bloomin' pick watch, did I? I still took the Cowboys, but I revel in it because there's something likable about Derek Carr. There just is. Like, he's the sort of guy last year where he was either great or terrible, and I mean, there's nothing sweeter than a Cowboys loss, apart from, as you were saying adequately, anyone else in the NFC North. But, that notwithstanding, the Cowboys as America's team, I want them to go winless. And seeing them at home get pasted by 25, the Saints scored in every possession, like they have done every single possession this season when Derek Carr has been in the game. Like, that's an insane record through 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is. Cowgirls lost, so that's fun. Speaking of insane records, New York Giants. First team to ever lose a game scoring 3 touchdowns and their opponents don't score a single one. That is hilarious.
Yeah. Austin Seibert won some people their fantasy matchup this week with 7 field goals. But, I mean,
I would have laughed if you'd have lost to Austin Seibert this week after losing to Jake Moody last week. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, fortunately I didn't lose to them, but I did lose otherwise, which is a bit annoying. But I thought Jaden Daniels looked like a passable quarterback again. So far, I think he's had the best of it in the rookie quarterbacks.
I'll tell you who else looks passable. The Patriots look passable.
Yep.
I picked them to beat the Seahawks and they lost in overtime, but another coach who I like, who's been thrown into a rubbish situation, who seems to be, he's making more than the sum of his parts.
Absolutely. Well, the Seahawks were a playoff team last year? No, I'm doubting myself now. No, was it?
No, because the Rams were in and the 49ers were in.
Okay, so they were a playoff team 2 years ago and they missed out on tiebreakers last year.
They missed out to the Packers.
Yeah,
on
they missed out on
tiebreaker.
tiebreakers last year, and they were just about in the year before. So this is a borderline playoff team in the NFC that got taken all the way by a Patriots team, which was meant to have the number one overall pick potentially. Like people thought they were that bad, and through 2 weeks, they look like a passable team. I mean, may not finish last in the AFC East. I mean, depending on
No.
what's happening with Tua, it could be Miami now.
Uh, oh God, yeah, and that's just so sad for him.
Yeah,
Um, I thought they didn't. They did. I don't like how this has been handled in media. Like literally the day he got hurt, there's talking heads on TV saying like he should retire. It's like have some respect, man. Like the guy's just been hurt. It's his fifth concussion, and you're already there on TV saying retire. It's like have a show a bit of decency. Leave these conversations until he's back or he's playing, but don't just go straight on and go, oh, he should retire, he should retire, he should retire. That's just, for me, that's just in really bad taste. The Dolphins are frauds at this point. We know that even with him, but like have some respect towards the guy. It's a shame with him. But yeah, they certainly look fraudulent. They're not going to end their playoff drought this year. I guess we should talk about the NFC North. Um, our new Lord and Savior, who we're meant to look up to, looks pretty awful. Which is funny, but Caleb. Caleb's our new Lord and Savior who runs the NFC North, but he's thrown for 260 yards and 2 picks over 2 games and got sacked more times than I have hair strands, yesterday. Well, I suppose that's not many, but what, 7 sacks? Um, the Bears came up against a real football team and they looked bad. They've paid a lot of money for that defense, but that defense can only do so much when their offense looks like hot trash. They're discovering what happens when you spend all your money on your defense and fancy wide receivers and you spend absolutely nothing protecting your quarterback. Like they're paying $30 million to Nate Davis, who right now looks as bad as any starting guard, probably the worst starting guard in the league, full stop. Um, it's funny how they've gone about building that. But then we've got the Vikings, who were they're 2-0 now, aren't they?
they're 2-0, and
And
Sam
they're leading
Darnold
the
looks like
NFC
a
North.
real quarterback.
I'm a real boy.
He
See,
look
this is gonna create trouble down the line for us. Like this, if they're competitive, we're in a lot of bother this year in the NFC North. I mean, Packers will have love back by the time we play them. Bears are the Bears, but we've struggled with that defense for way too long. They keep it close to the point where they can drag us into these contests we don't like. And if the Vikings are finding something right now, like the NFC North's going to be tough. 13, 14 wins is
not happening.
no,
Like
no,
it's definitely not happening.
no. This loss kind of has taken the ceiling from us from maybe 14. I think you're looking down to probably more towards 12 now, maybe 11.
I mean, so the most likely outcome, according to TeamRankings.com, is the Lions finish 9-8 with a win record of 9.2 being the average. That's what they think. So 10 wins plus is going to be above expectation, apparently. I still think you should be looking at 11 or 12, but it's going to be a hard road. A couple of the other games we haven't mentioned: Chargers beat the Panthers 26-3, and the Panthers have now benched Bryce Young in favour of Andy Dalton.
This is I put this on Twitter earlier. Bryce Young is the poster child of you've put him in the team way too early and you're going to ruin him. Like you're looking at Bo Nix in Denver now, and you're getting the same vibes. They are sending Bo Nix on a hiding to nothing in Denver. Carolina were the worst team in the NFL last year, and you're putting Bryce Young in there. You're not giving him much help around you. And then when he doesn't do well, the fans are on him. Everybody's on him. The media's on him. How is he meant to succeed in that environment? Like I know he's missed some throws and he's not looked the best as well, but at the same point, you've got to give a rookie an environment to thrive. We talk about this with QB. How many starting QBs are actually coming through now, starting as a rookie and looking good? Like so few of them. Like a lot of these guys are completely busting out. And all these number one, number two, number three picks are getting traded away. They're not even seeing rookie deals out at their teams because they come in with a level of expectation on a trash team. They're given no time to sit and learn. They're just thrown in there. And Bryce just looks like he's struggling. This could be a blessing in disguise for him. If he can just sit for a few months, go over all his game tape, work on some of his flaws and kinks, and hopefully the Panthers get a better team for him, then you can still resuscitate him at this point, but he should not be in that team.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of players like the three rookies last week in week one. Not a single one of them threw a touchdown pass. Not Caleb, not Bo, not nobody. And because they're coming to bad teams. And in Caleb's case, Caleb's going to get hurt sooner rather than later. You saw some of the sacks yesterday. Even the likes of Darnell Wright, who they say has been really good, was just half-arsing plays and looked terrible. And somebody is going to hurt him. When we play them, we're going to hurt him. And that's going to affect him going forward. These guys have just not been put in positions to succeed.
I think the thing with Bryce is that I probably would have said we're going to protect him for the first half of the season and not played him at all if this is what you were going to do. Because the thing is, it's not the offensive line letting him down. The offensive line is actually playing quite well in Carolina. There's a lack of weapons, but also the organization's just been run poorly. And I don't think that they have built him up to be a confident quarterback. They ruined him last year, and now he's the shadow of what he was when he was coming into the league. And now you want him to succeed behind an offensive line, which is good, not great. They're not the problem anymore, the offensive line. They've done a good job rebuilding there, but
it's a toxic team.
It is a toxic
culture.
Exactly. And he's going to be sold for a bag of peanuts and succeed elsewhere in the league, but it might take him 5 years now.
Oh, yeah. He's going to Baker Mayfield, the Panthers. I bet the Browns are wishing they'd stuck with Baker a bit more now and given him a bit more because he clearly had it there. And everyone just argues about, for me, a lot of the hate as well is coming from draft Twitter. Draft Twitter cannot stand the fact that when they were all harping off on the high horses about, oh, he's too small, he won't get picked early, and then he was picked and it made them look like idiots. Draft Twitter's a nasty place to hold grudges. And Bryce Young took a lot of hammer during draft Twitter season, especially because a lot of people said Stroud was better and Stroud's had his good first year and everyone's trying to pile in on him and really, just put the boot in, so to speak. And I hate it. It's a nasty side. If I get something right in my draft stuff, I don't crow about it. If I get something wrong, I don't crow about it. If a player who I thought was going to be terrible to is good, I'm glad for them. You want as many of these rookies as possible to be great players because it makes a better product in the league. But there is a harsh bias against him. And there's a lot of people who want to see him fail just so they can go, ha, I was right. Which is why I'm really rooting for him because doesn't matter about his size. You can be good. Look at Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's getting back up to MVP form again now. That form he started early in his career. Kyler could be an MVP this year, the way he's playing. And now he's got one of the best weapons he's ever had.
I mean, we haven't...
Again, was a stupid thing.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that game yet, so let's briefly talk about it. Cardinals 41-10 over the Rams at home. We struggled with the Rams. And Stafford couldn't do what he did to us against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals were 1-point favourites for this game, and they win by 31. And Kyler Murray looks brilliant.
Who was the only guy in the pick watch who picked him as well? Yeah. You talk about overreactions. That week one reaction to Marvin Harrison Jr., everyone goes, oh, Malik Neighbors is better. Jesus Christ. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL before the end of his second season. Said that as soon as he got drafted. The man is a transcendent talent. And you saw what he did to them. That is what we should have been doing more of with J-Mo last week against her. I know we did, but that was a poor Rams secondary, and they just went to town on him. He just went to town on them, sorry. He's so damn good. I would have taken him over any other receiver in this draft by a long stretch of the way. He's going to put up crazy, crazy, crazy numbers. And the Cardinals, That is, I know we'll talk about it later in the week, but that line been at 3 favourites to us. I think that's going to be wiped out by the time we play them. They look dangerous. Their defensive line wrecked LA, and I get theirs ain't the greatest in the world, but ours just didn't put in the greatest showing against not the greatest front four in the world because they were injured. So I'm worried. I'm worried about Kyler's ability to scramble. I'm worried about MHJ. Like someone's got to stick to him like glue.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough game. We will be previewing that on Thursday. I have just messaged our friends from the British Bird Gang to see whether they're going to come on. They did say yes in pre-season, but just want to double check. They're really good value if they do come on, so it's going to be a good preview for that episode on Thursday. Other games we haven't mentioned. Browns at Jags, 18-13 in favour of the Browns, and I don't want to take too much of a victory lap, but the Browns are one of the worst offensive teams in the NFL. And the Jags somehow out-Brownsed the Browns. I'm not saying that Trevor has a massage parlor problem. I'm saying that Trevor couldn't move the ball.
No, I've given up on my AFC South prediction winners already. So yeah, they're not good. Consider me learned on this. It's no, they were dog rough. So they're not going to do a great. I don't think the Browns are going to do it either. They've just lost David Bell to injury now. They seem to be getting really hurt.
Didn't they cut
Really
David Bell before bringing him back? Or was that?
I think so. Maybe, but they've lost him to a bad hip injury now. They're getting more injured. By the way, should we talk about the Steelers? One offensive touchdown all year, and they're 2-0. Talk about life not being fair.
I mean, their defense looks brilliant. They look like maybe the best defense in the NFL right now.
Chris Boswell has a legitimate claim for MVP if he carries on like this. I know Kicker will never win MVP, but if he carries on, he should, because he's just nailing absolutely everything. What was this like? He had like a 53-yarder in this, and he nearly cleared the top of the posts. It was stupid, but I told you at the start of the season, I like the Steelers. Justin Fields is working his way in. He looked a little bit better this week. Started targeting his guys a bit more. It's a work in progress, but they're running the ball all right. They're passing. They're doing just enough. I know they're pretty much bottom. What was that tweet I put up? They're bottom 4 in nearly every major offensive metric, which is terrible. But that defense is one of the best maybe Tomlin's ever had. There's just playmakers all over that thing, and even like the Corey Trice, he's the rookie. He got an interception today. They just got so many good players, and I tell you who is getting big up front for them now, which is upsetting me, is Keanu Benton. Like, I get it. We don't have a DT problem here, but when he came out a year or two ago, now it's just like I wanted him so bad, and you saw him in this game, and he's becoming a game wrecker on that interior for them. And they don't need another game wrecker on that D line. They're just gonna. I think teams are going to struggle to score 20 on them this year, which even for an average offense can get over 20 if they need to. But they look good.
They do look very, very good. I fear that team. I mean, with the Ravens 0-2 and the Bengals 0-2, that AFC North is wide open.
So does that mean the Browns are second in the AFC North?
Yes, they are at 1-1.
Who predicted that? I bet they would have flipped the tape because isn't it Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Ravens in standings for points and that? I reckon you'd have flipped the table and people said that's how it'll end this year. Obviously, they've all got to play one another, but
I agree. That's what I had. So I had it completely flipped.
But I think that the Steelers are going to. The thing is, if Justin Fields keeps getting better week by week and more comfy, that offense will get better. So if that defense stays as it is and their offense just gets like 10% better every week, they could go and win the AFC North this year. Or at least they'll make the playoffs and they'll be a legitimately good playoff team. It'll be interesting. Do you think Russ gets back in when he's healthy? I think he's done. I don't think he sees a snap in Pittsburgh, even when he gets healthy.
I've got one word for Russell Wilson. Retirement. We haven't mentioned well, it's not that mean though, and I think that's the problem.
He was, I think, was it you saying in Discord the other day, the two things he was built on was his mobility and his arm. The mobility's gone and the arm is gone.
Yeah, it wasn't me that mentioned it, but I did stick the boot in afterwards.
Yeah,
But it's
like
totally right.
his two elite traits are gone. And unfortunately, the passing of time does that to a man, and he now has nothing to hang his hat on that makes him anything better than Malik Willis in back. He's now a competent backup. If you need to bring someone in to see out a game, or you need like your QB's out for one game with an injury, he's the perfect quarterback for that now. But he's no longer a starter in the league.
No, he's not. And the thing about a quarterback of his age is that you'd want the experience that he had to mean that he could maybe do the Peyton Manning thing of just being able to kind of intelligence your way to it because you've seen it all. But the problem with Russ is that kind of making those checks at the line and changing the play and whatever was never really his thing. He was just mobile enough to get out of trouble. And that sounds like a horrible racist trope, and I really don't think it is because it's not me just saying, oh, black quarterback can run and make a throw. Like, legitimately, that is what he was good at, and it's not there anymore. Whereas with someone like Fields, that is also what he's good at. Not as good as Russ was at his peak, obviously, but Fields is showing improvement.
Of course he is. Fields is benefiting. One, been on a winning team, and two, been in a team where he's not getting clobbered on like 8 or 9 sacks every week like he was before. He actually is getting a bit of time to stand in the pocket, throw the ball, and you can see the rusts there, right? But all he's like the Bears did to him what the Rams did to Goff. They just discarded him. When really what they should have done, if the Bears were smart, would have traded away that number one pick for another haul and got a few offensive linemen in to protect it. That Adunes at 9 pick is going to haunt the Bears for years. Because why do they need Rome Adunes when you've got DJ Moore and you've got Keenan Allen?
Well,
You can
Allen injured
build,
now, though, isn't he?
yeah, but you can build a wide receiver core around DJ Moore. You didn't need another guy that high. You needed offensive linemen because you haven't got any good ones. Maybe apart Darnell Wright's a second-year rookie. Braxton Jones is okay, serviceable, but you've got nothing on the interior whatsoever. You've drafted Caleb Williams, great. What you're gonna do? You're gonna get him hurt. You're gonna get him hurt. He's gonna. You can already see the excuses piling in for him. So the Bears chart of their quarterbacks. So it's hyped up, then it's put in a bad situation. So it's offensive coordinator's fault, head coach. It's everybody else's fault but his, which is where he plays bad in year one. They're already at that stage. 2 games in. They're already blaming everyone but him for it, which will be fine. But if they carry on losing, head coach gets fired. So new staff, new offensive coordinator. He doesn't understand the system. It's not going to work well. Gets to year 3, and then people have already given up on him, and they're belly aching for a new quarterback, and he will have done to him what Fields has have done. Fields didn't get a chance. He didn't get the chance he deserved in there. They should have kept him and built around him because they'd have got all the picks. They could have rebuilt that line in a season, and they chose the gluttonous, greedy, fancy way instead, and it's gonna cost them all their jobs eventually.
I agree. Two more games to mention briefly. Jets at Titans finished 24-17 for the Jets, and for the second week in a row, the Titans threw it away.
Titans are a rubbish team, that's why. I know you believe in them, but they're an
I don't
absolute pile
anymore.
of.
I don't anymore, but the Titans were in a winning position here against an Aaron Rodgers led team that looked shite.
Oh yeah, the Jets are top of my fraud list this year. Absolutely top of. But he was throwing touchdown passes to Brees Hall, which helped me in fantasy. So outside of that, I'll take that. But that was 2 bad teams, and we have got to endure the Patriots and the Jets on Tuesday and Thursday night football. The first time this year, I'm just playing out. I've watched the other two to completion till 5 in the morning. Ain't doing that this week for these lot. Like, no chance. I'll watch the 40-minute highlight in the morning. But the Jets look utterly fraudulent. He just looks gone. I mean, time catches up with a man, right? I mean, have you seen all the pictures of Kirko training? He looks done. Like,
Sorry, say that again. Did I see?
have you seen all the pictures of Kirk training with the Falcons?
No.
The man looks done. He's moving so slow. It's just gone. Like, I see why they draft. Penix will be starting for them by November, I reckon. That's all Kirk's got. He'll be done by then. Penix will be in, and they'll be bloody well glad that they drafted him. But
Fair.
time catches up with every man, and it has with him. And then guess we
I've
see.
got two words for that, and that's
What?
100 million guaranteed. That's three words. Never mind, but it's still pretty heavy when you think about
That
Kirk
was
Cousins.
for 100 million guaranteed. That was
100's one word. Yeah, you're right.
No, it's not.
I'm not an accountant. Final game was Bengals at Chiefs, which you mentioned was a walk-off field goal in favour of the Chiefs. But again, another game just thrown away by a team. The Bengals had this in the bag.
Yes, they did. And as much as we'd love to blame the refs for this one, like everyone at the end, that was clear PR. You can't go through the back of someone. Like, that is. I get it. If you're a DB, you are one play away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs and you see the ball lobbed up in front of you. All you can see is that ball, right? It's coming to you. It's coming in your direction. You just want to jump in the air and swat that mofo to the ground and end it. The only problem is you forget that there's generally a player there when Mahomes is throwing the ball. There's not no one there, and you just lost track of him. And man, you saw it and you're like, yeah, they're losing this game. But because I want Trey Hendrickson so bad, every Bengals loss is a blessing. So I don't mind too much. They're 0-2 on the year now. It sucks that the Bengals are bad, the Ravens are bad. Like, you want them to get so far behind that they give up on the season, but it was just the Steelers setting the pace. It's kind of not going to happen. They're still really in it, but anything that gets the Bengals to lose, I don't mind. But Chiefs don't look good at the minute, but they start slow. So the worrying thing is they're starting slow and they're winning. So you beat the Ravens and the Bengals first 2 weeks of the year and you don't look good. That's like, oh dear. That's ominous. That's ominous for the rest of the league. I'm glad we don't play them this year. We don't play them, do we?
What, the Chiefs or the Bengals?
Yeah, Chiefs. We don't play them
No, we're
until
not
we
playing
get
the
to the
Chiefs.
Super.
Yeah.
Not until we get to the Super Bowl.
No, they won't make it. They're not
No.
making it.
You reckon not?
No. I'm not going to tell you who it'll be. But it's not going to be
You're back in your Bills fandom. I know you are.
No.
Yes,
I don't think the Bills aren't making the playoffs.
Oh, really?
The Bills aren't making the playoffs. No way.
Oh, wow. Okay, I misjudged you on that one.
No. I mean, the problem is the AFC East is now the AFC least. Miami are bad. The Bills aren't good. The Patriots are competitive. The Jets are bad. Who's going to win that division? It might take 8 wins to win that division.
That could be the NFC South of last year.
Yeah.
No, I get you. That's why none of their games should be in prime time at all. They're going to regret it. It's like last year. The Jets got put in so many primetime games last year. They're going to regret doing it again this year. It's going to drive down figures massively.
Yeah. Right. Any final words about this weekend's games?
No, put it to the back of the mind. Move on to the next one. Get a win. And then move on. I do feel like this weekend is much bigger now, though. I don't want to lose again. I will be not good next week if we lose again.
All right. We're going to call it a show there, folks. Haven't seen any questions coming through the chat, but we have got a heck of a show for you, hopefully coming up on Thursday afternoon. We should be joined, fingers crossed, by the British Bird Gang. They are our counterparts supporting the Arizona Cardinals. Every time they've come on, they've been really good value. So I hope you'll join us with them. They have said, yeah, they're definitely up for it, but they're going to be unavailable 6 through 8. That's going to suit us perfectly fine. So we will see you with the British Bird Gang for that breakdown, or the breakdown of that matchup for the Sunday's game. College Football Podcast is going to be back tomorrow. That's Tuesday afternoon Eastern Time. Week 3 review, Week 4 preview, all the pick watch stuff and all of the upsets that you can go through there. I mean, it was a heck of a week of college football, so do join Anne and Ryan for that one. Otherwise, you can follow us on our socials on Royal The Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you're liking all of our shorts content, that's not an OnlyFans thing. I mean to throw out a thank you to Ashley Soden, who has really put pedal to the metal when it's come down to our little clips content on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and on TikTok, because it's been really good and it's had a lot of interaction. So hope you enjoy that and keep supporting the show by watching some of those. That'd be great. Otherwise, don't forget to go to the Facebook group. Well, Detroit Lions Fans UK 1 Pride Worldwide. Some really good kind of photos and videos from the games from some of the fans from the UK and the wider European and, well, I mean, the world. That, you know, there's some fans in Australia on there and bits and pieces. If you want to see Lions fandom across the world, it's the best place to go. Ash's articles are on rotluk.com to preview each game, so go and check them out there. Otherwise, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars on your podcast provider. Just remains to me thank Ant for doing this with me and to everyone for watching, because I appreciate that it's hard to listen to these shows when your team is lost. I have to say, I don't like listening to podcasts diagnosing losses, but I hope you find it therapeutic, and I hope you will join us for Thursday's preview show. But for now, let's go Lions. One Pride.
One Pride.
Recording stopped.